I want to tell you about quite an undiscovered place in Mexico called Chacahua. But this video is also about places that are like this, why I love to visit them, and how you can find them on your trips. Chacahua is a village on the coast of Oaxaca in Mexico. You get there by boat, and this was immediately a more exciting trip than I had expected. We were blasting across the lagoon, blasting through the mangroves. And as we got closer to the coast, the wind started picking up. And soon the wind was just slapping me in the eyes. It was quite a high-octane arrival to a place that proved to be anything but. I have arrived. I don't actually have a reservation because a lot of these places you cannot even book online. So people told me just to show up and see what is there. What is there is a lot of wind. Oh yeah, did I mention the Category 5 hurricane that was approaching off the coast? This storm of the highest possible level was predicted to hit land further north, but I did slightly wonder if we'd be hit with it here too. But my more immediate concern was finding some accommodation. All right, I had to walk around a bunch, go back and forth across the beach, ask everywhere, do you have a room available? And the rooms kind of span the whole gamut from luxury cabanas to very basic ones. But I found myself a half decent one for a nice price, so I'm happy. Doing this reminds me of the old days of backpacking. It's pretty cool. Chacahua is such a remarkable place. When I spoke to another traveler a few days ago, they said coming here is like entering another dimension, which is a fun way to put it. And I get what this person meant, because first of all, the internet is kind of crap here, which always creates a different atmosphere. And some of the places that you can stay here, you cannot book online. And it's very isolated. So around here are just mangroves and lagoons. And you can just see green mountain as far as you can see. So you're really inside a national park here. You either have to take 3 or 4 different modes of transportation, which is, I guess, what keeps people away from here a little bit. It's actually not that complicated. Okay, you have to take a colectivo, a shared bus, a taxi, a boat, and potentially another colectivo. But it's a pretty smooth ride. The next morning, Hurricane Otis had left. It had hit the city of Acapulco very hard with speeds over 270 kilometers an hour, but luckily Chacahua was not affected. I went for a walk in the village, found breakfast, had a little nap in a hammock. This is what it's all about. So Chacahua is an Afro-Mexican community on the coast here. And the pace of life is just delightfully slow. People are hanging in their hammocks, some fishermen trying to catch fish. It's just really relaxed. As a traveler, this is the kind of place I completely am crazy about. Places that are not so overhyped, that are maybe, you know, just slightly more difficult to get to, so not everyone does. But it's actually quite tormenting me as a blogger, because while I love to write about and make videos about these places, very few people are interested in it because they don't already know it. Like, for example, an hour that way is Puerto Escondido, and that is already a super well-known tourism hotspot. If I make a video about that, and it won't be the most original because a lot of people have already done so, I will probably get a lot of views. If I make a video about this, I doubt it will be a great hit, but I cannot help but just go to these places anyway. Chacahua is not really a top things to do in kind of place. The best thing to do is basically very little, but there are actually some things you can do. So there is a lighthouse at the top of the mountain here. I tried hiking to it, but I couldn't find a trailhead, so I gave up on it. There's also a crocodile center, which is way more interesting than I thought it would be. I expected a crocodile or two, but there's loads of them there. And it's a species that gets up to 5 meters long. They are native to the lagoon here. So this is a conservation center. They may not be the most charismatic animals around, but the local wild population would be at risk of extinction if it weren't for the wonderful work that this sanctuary does. So that's very interesting. You can also take a boat into the lagoon, and there you can see all kinds of other creatures like pink flamingos, which is very cool. And you can take a boat out at night and you can go into the waters and see bioluminescent plankton, which is really magical. It's something I haven't done here yet, but I have in other places. So you jump into the water, you can move your hand around and it will sparkle all around it. Literally magical. So there are several things to do here besides surfing and swimming and chilling. A local fisherman agreed to take me to the mangroves, and this time without blasting through it at hyper speed. Now, I'm not really a birder, but I can appreciate a bird if I see one, and there are a lot of species you can observe here. I especially appreciated seeing these pink flamingos, or at least that's what my guide told me I was looking at, but with that beak I guess it's a spoonbill. Well, it's also pink, so same. So even if you don't go specifically to Chacahua, Mexico, how do you find places like this? I'm reminded actually of Rincon del Mar in Colombia, which I made a video about, which has a similar kind of calm vibe. The Pacific coast in Colombia last year, similar thing. In Asia, there's this, when I went to Laos, there was this town called Muang Ngoy Noya, which is this gorgeous town by a river with beautiful mountains. Not a big population, maybe a few hundred. It's just an absolute gem. And usually the way to find them is to go to places that are slightly off the main route. So all the places I just mentioned, they're kind of in the opposite direction of where most travelers want to go if you follow a logical step-by-step itinerary through that country according to, you know, the normal way that everyone goes through those countries. So Chacahua is kind of, you know, off to, I guess, the west, and most people will travel eastward. These other towns are also in the opposite direction. So one way to find these places is to just be a bit random sometimes and go in the opposite direction of where you're intending to go. The other great way of finding these places is just to talk to people while you're traveling. I had actually read about this place before this trip, but sometimes you get a really great tip, and that might be it. That might be the place that you end up loving the most. And another way is just to tell yourself, you know what, I'm gonna keep my plans a bit flexible, and if there's something that takes just a little bit more effort or time to get to, I'm gonna do it. I'm actually curious what places you have been that were a little bit more special to you, that surprised you, or, you know, that were a bit unknown, and then you took a chance on it and you got there and you're like, wow, this is great.